Okay, if I don't do it in my pajamas, it's not gonna get done. I want it to be all Miss Glamorous. Come on, do a little makeup. Come on, talk about some books. Be cute. Set the scene. Listen, my life is not set up like that yet. So I've had a very long day. However, I am in the mood to talk about all the books that I read in November. So here we go. But first, I forgot this last time. If this is your first time seeing my face or knowing of my existence, my name is Diamond. I go by Jaded Reads on this channel. And over here, I like to do reading vlogs, book reviews, and everything in between. So if that is something that you're interested in, I think you should consider subscribing. And yeah, we're just going to go. We're going to go from there. All right. So how are y'all? I know I just uploaded a video not too long ago. It hadn't been too long. It's been what, a week and a half, 2 weeks by the time you guys see this. So not too bad. So how are you guys doing? How are we feeling? How was our reading going? I've been seeing some of my people that I am subscribed to. So I know how your reading is going. But for my people who don't post, just the viewers and those of you who comment on my stuff, how are you guys doing? What are you reading? How you feeling? I did just like a few comments and did not respond to them. It's not that I'm blowing you guys off or anything like that, but sometimes I just get overwhelmed. And also just like, I don't know, this booktube channel isn't like serving me how I wanted to. I've been on booktube for 4 years, and I'll say I was consistent all last year. And I just feel like the growth it's exponentially smaller than other creators. And it's also just like whatever. I thrive on another part of the internet that I'm like I don't like talking about, because y'all have one view of me or one opinion of me, and I have so many different faces. Seriously, I talk about so many different things. I have so many different avenues and so many different interests, and I'm thinking I want to just kind of like explore that part of the internet and that part of myself more. It brings me more joy. It brings me more release, more than what the booktube community is doing. I'll still come on and share the books that I'm reading and my interests, but I probably am going to dial back a lot more on this channel. And if you are interested in following any of my other socials, once I decide, you can find me, of course. You can find anybody on the internet, but I'll pop in and share more about that. And if you're interested in the very opinionated Diamond, you can find me on those stations and on those avenues here on YouTube and on TikTok. If you just want the bookish Diamond, then you just find me here whenever I can, and I'll just pop in whenever I can. Like it's not wasting my time, but at least there's more incentive for my time when I'm discussing current events, relationships, ideas, things I've been through. Not too deep. I don't go too deep into it. I don't really tell all of my business, but there is just a lot that I need to get out and release, and booktube is just not doing it for me. There's no payoff for it. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for the subscribers that I do have that follow me, that engage with me, but the YouTube gods, however, they don't push black creators like they should. And this is a running theme, an ongoing theme. And I just also have interests other places, and I've seen success in my other side or the other things that I want to discuss and talk about. So that's all I want to say. But the reading continues. The reading informs my intuition, my character, my knowledge, my brain. So the reading is always going to be here. It's going to continue. But as far as like sitting down, really diving into this type of content, I think I'm going to dial back. So yeah, so you might get like 1 or 2 videos a month. Not a week, a month. So like every 2 weeks, 1 video, something like that. So we'll go now into the books that I did read for the month of November. November was a very, very great reading month. I really enjoyed every single book that I read except one. One was like it was so meh. It was so meh. But anyway, let's go for it. I just want to make sure I have them in the proper order. All right, so November 3rd, I picked up Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. This book is a staple in the book community. Everybody loves Joan Didion, those literary fiction types. You know, the cool kids that might be somewhere in California or however, whatever you. But Joan Didion is very smart woman. She was a journalist and she wrote nothing but nonfiction. She has one work of fiction, I do believe. It's called Play It As It Lays, I think, in a play. But anyway, don't give me the lying. But this book right here, The Year of Magical Thinking, follows the year that Quintana, her daughter, got really ill suddenly and was in and out of the hospital, a lot for a long time, and then in recovery. And her also follows her husband, the passing of her husband, John Donne. He died of a heart attack, heart failure, heart attack, coronary, if I'm saying it right. That's what he died from. And it follows her honesty, the depths of despair, how one is supposed to feel, how one is supposed to act, how one is supposed to be during this difficult time. She is very candid in her delivery and still so matter of fact. Like, that's one thing about Joan Didion that I absolutely admire. Even in a time of grief, she is still able to convey a story to us through her lenses. And I just really, really, really enjoyed that aspect. Although this is a very heartbreaking memoir-esque, or whatever you want to call it. I think it just is classified. Yeah. It's a heartbreaking memoir, but it just still, like, it gave me comfort in understanding her grief process, because although I've not lost anyone tremendously close to me in a long time, there are still things that I continue to grieve in my daily life, the things that are completely different, that are changing tremendously. And so just reading through the changes that she endured, and I think what really drew this to me, I made a short, was just like the aspect of what myself and my daughter are dealing with and were dealing with last year, and just like how our lives look now. I wanted to hear about that aspect of the motherhood piece, but then also in learning about John Donne's death and how she took that, and how that just was like something extra that I didn't expect to feel so close to. So this is a really great book on grief and on picking oneself up and trying to go through life and finish out what you started, although you lost an important piece to your life. And also, what is absolutely so terribly sad is that although Quintana did recover from the issue that she had here in this book, she still goes on to pass away a year or two later. So, you know, she's been through a lot and outlived almost everybody. Joan Didion did. So yeah, this is a great memoir, and I highly recommend this. So it was great. And then, even though it was nonfiction November, we had, I think, 2 or 3 books in here that are fiction. So the next book that we read, or that I read, was An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. I have already talked about this book in a very brief, very short vlog. You guys already know how I feel if you watch that, but this book was great. I really enjoyed this book from beginning to end. Give me one second. I forgot the book that I was just talking about. Oh, I have it now. I remember. Yeah, I was talking about, I had to take a phone call, so. I was talking about An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, and how this book was excellent. I mean, and even Doug was like, Diamond, you need to do a live on this. I don't know. Like, I need to, if YouTube can't spark that joy that I used to have for it in the last year, like all 2024 up until November, I loved BookTube so much. But I just can't focus on it anymore like I used to. And I had for some reason, just a few days ago, I ended up getting a copyright strike. No, it was copyright content, some type of strike for the 2 lives that I did on 107 Days by Kamala Harris. Don't know why. I don't know what that's about. Have no clue. So I'm just like, I don't know. But anyway, this book is great. This book is about, what are their names? Yeah, this book is about Celestial and Roy. Celestial and Roy are newlyweds, married, And one night, out the blue, they're back in Roy's hometown visiting with family and stuff, and he takes her down to one of his favorite places he used to go to as a teenager and a young adult, and a woman cries rape in the middle of the night. And because Roy was the last face that she technically saw, she basically said that he did it, and he goes to jail, and he's in jail for 5 years, and this book is split. So for 2/3 of the book, Celestial and Roy are writing to each other from jail, to and from jail. So they're writing, so a split narrative between Celestial and Roy, and then a new character enters the chat. I think his name is Andre, and you get his perspective, the parents' perspective. It is a lot of mess. This book is excellent. Now, there some parts in here that I do not agree with, absolutely. But that's the whole point of reading books. It's so much to talk about. This book beat out a few of my favorite books in 2019 for the Women's Prize for Fiction. And since reading it, I understand why it did that. I'm really perplexed about the ending, very much so, but I understand where Tayari Jones was taking us. With that, like I totally get it, but it's just like it kind of threw me off. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, it is what it is. I love this book. I want to go in order, so let me look up the next book that I read after that. And so the next book is My Life on the Road by Gloria Steinem, and this is who I was talking about when I mentioned a lot of the references that were made in Girl, Woman, Other. She references Gloria Steinem. I said Jill Stein. Jill Stein ran for president. I meant Gloria Steinem. And so what this tells us is a lot about her life, her upbringing, her parents, where she got the urge to do what she did for America, for women, for feminism. And she tells us so many stories about her legendary career and her life quite literally on the road. And so it's a memoir. So with memoirs, you just go in and out of different years. She even speaks about where she was, like both of them. I think these two books really, I just love when books be talking to each other. Like that's my favorite thing to capture, even in fiction, when books are simultaneously speaking around the same type of, like the same realm. Like in this book, Joan Didion mentions where she was the day that JFK died and what she was getting. She was purchasing her wedding dress the day that she found out that he had passed away. And in this book, Gloria Steinem mentions where she was and who she was with the day that they found out. It was like, it was the shot heard around the world, quite literally. And they talk about the things and the people, and Joan Didion is mentioned in Gloria Steinem's book, but she doesn't mention Gloria Steinem in here, but still, like, there's like little references to moments and the past experiences of these two women. And this is a phenomenal woman. She really, really is. This made me a fan of her. And it made me look her up, want to watch documentaries about her. They were just, it's good, basically. So just a great story. Great memoir. Another book that I also read was Heartbreaking. And so good. It was The Radium Girls, The Dark Story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore. Oh my goodness. The Radium Girls, I'm getting choked up. The Radium Girls is, first of all, a beautifully written, stunningly told story about the women in the 1900s, early 1900s, who were solicited to paint the dials on glow-in-the-dark watches. And back in the day, the military would solicit a lot of these orders to be made so that soldiers in the armies, in the armed forces, could see the time at night. And so back then, there was no other technology but radium that would allow for these numbers and the ticker to do that, to glow in the dark. So these women would do that. Great, right? They made great money. you have to think, why were they making so much money just to paint all day? Because this job started off dangerous. It started dangerous and it ended dangerous. And these women were lied to. They were told the complete opposite, and they started experiencing everything from paralyzation of the lips, numbness, to bones breaking, jaws falling off, limbs. They would get like huge tumors on their inside of their mouth, on their chin, and they just basically succumbed to all of these issues. And it all started from the radium, and the story goes deep in detail about these women, where they came from, their lives, and them ultimately figuring out what was actually killing them. So it was beautifully done, and I will probably never forget this story. Never. So good. The next book that I read after that, I read that on audiobook, by the way. Magnificent from beginning to end. It's so interesting. So yeah, not a dull moment in sight. Then I read Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This is about two people, Regan and Aldo, and both of them have issues in this story, but the only person whose issues like seem to like really come off of the page is Regan. I think she has like a personality dissociative, some sort of like disorder, bipolar, something like that, and it starts to manifest itself towards the end of the book. You start to really see her kind of like go into who she really is, but in the midst of that, these two find solace in one another and the ways that they are. And I do believe, although he has issues as well, but it's not like there's nothing that Olivia decides to tell us, like there's no diagnosis or anything like that, but he just reminds me of maybe a spectrum, someone borderline autistic on the spectrum, maybe a little Asperger's, I'm not sure. But it tells a story of these two people who come from broken places in their lives, and they find solace in one another, and they fall in love. And this is a story of true acceptance, I do believe, and what it looks like for someone to love you for exactly who you are. And that is exactly this. That's what I took from the story. It wasn't underwhelming, but it also wasn't overwhelming. It was just okay. If I was to rate this, it'd be a 3.5 out of 5 star. The next book that I read was a most anticipated read, and it is Say Nothing, a true story of murder and memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. And in this story, you follow these two sisters, Dolores and well, first of all, it's about the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and you find out the history of the IRA, why it started, why it was so important. And it starts off with the story of a woman going missing named Jean McAville, and through her story, through her going missing, Patrick Radden Keefe, he takes us into the deep history of the IRA and where it came from, and the solicitation of these not soldiers, but what they call them, I forgot what they call them. It slipped my mind what they were called, like volunteer soldier-esque type people. And then it goes into these two beautiful women. One here, I think her name is Dolores, and then her sister. These two sisters, I can't remember the other sister's name. I think, yeah, Dolores and Marion. So Marion and Dolores. We hear a lot about Dolores in the beginning of the story, but who we don't hear a lot about is Marion, and that is so purposeful. So I will say that because I read another book by him after this, I was so impressed by this until I read the other book that we're about to talk about. But this was really good. I really liked it. I love narrative nonfiction is quickly becoming one of my most favorite genres of literature, of nonfiction, in a way that is really surprising to me. But yeah, I feel like after reading this, I feel like I can have such a well-rounded conversation about the IRA to someone who has never heard of it before or has no previous history of it, because that's how well researched this book was. And the ending, how he brought the story together is what made it so good for me, because there are some parts that were really drawn out, but when I got to the end I could see exactly why Patrick Radden Keefe did what he did throughout the narrative nonfiction. And he is solidified also. It's just like the person, the nonfiction person. Like, he is giving Jon Krakauer a run for his money, and I think that's purposeful. And this also is now a series, I think, on Hulu. So I'm interested in watching that, but I don't think I will. I don't have Hulu. But yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. The next book that I read, this was stunning. This was stunning. Missoula by Jon Krakauer. Rape and the Justice System in a College Town. Babes, this book was excellent. Brilliantly crafted. Y'all like said all the time, brilliantly done. This is so good. So basically what this does is this talks about Missoula and how they would cover up rapes that would occur from their well-known football team at Missoula State, or whatever the college is called, in this town in Utah. Crazy, insane. And it is so bad who the person was that was constantly covering up or making these rape cases go away. But it was diabolical how many women were being raped per year here. And it only took a few women, really it only took one woman to come forward and not stop for things to really become broadcasted and unfold the way that they did. And Jon Krakauer, y'all know, he did a good job. Now, I was less than impressed with Under the Banner of Heaven, but that was just because of the subject matter there. This is hard too. It's not as hard as I read a couple of years ago. I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller. It's very reminiscent of that. Very much so. Just like it's very reminiscent of that. But if you decide to pick this up, just understand that there are verbatims in here from the cases of what happened to these women, what they said happened to them, how the rapes went down, what was done, how the hair was put. Everything that happened to these women is in this book. So it will get hard. So that's the trigger warning there. But it is such a good book. Like, seriously, it's so well done to the point where it's just like, he's a master. This is a master. That's why I said Patrick Radden Keefe is giving Jon Krakauer a run for his money. But this is the master of narrative nonfiction, if I have to give the title to somebody. So very good. Extremely underwhelming, super informative, but very underwhelming. White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. Cause I already, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like whatever. And then I read Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. Listen, I gotta tell you, I have to tell you something. That book was excellent. I mean, just wow. Just wow. So Empire of Pain follows it's called Empire of Pain, The Secret History of the Sackler Family. The Sackler family is the family that came up with the drug OxyContin, and they peddled that thing through the streets of America and became so insanely wealthy off of it. That is what solidified their wealth. OxyContin alone. They were a rich family already through pharmaceuticals and things of that nature. That OxyContin made them billionaires. And it follows, like I said, Patrick Radden Keefe, master too. Junior master of the craft. Because the way he does things is he brings things full circle. I just love it. He's a full circle type. Jon Krakauer just kind of like throws you straight into the story and deep dives. Patrick Radden Keefe is like a silent killer. You know what I mean? He gets you started. He builds you up to the finale. And that's why I really, really enjoyed Say Nothing and Empire of Pain. Empire of Pain, I know. Listen, I feel like I can tell any person that I walk up to exactly who the Sackler family is, where they came from, where the money started, who invented the drug, how the drug came to be, all about how they would make these pill dispensaries and the doctors were writing fake prescriptions just for the money. The pharmaceutical representatives knew exactly what the drug was doing, still pushing it, being dishonest to the doctors not knowing that they're addicting their patients to something much worse than heroin. And it is much worse than heroin, because guess what? OxyContin was killing people far in greater numbers than heroin was. And when they couldn't afford the OxyContin anymore, they would go to the heroin. Anyway, long story short, Empire Pain was an excellent book. Chef's kiss. All right, last book that I read is Foster by Claire Keegan. Now, here we go. This one, because the last Claire Keegan that I read, Small Things Like These, I was just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I love Irish authors, and they have amazing stories. They're amazing storytellers, but Small Things Like These, I just didn't get it. But what I did get was Foster. I enjoy Foster very much. Foster tells a story about a young girl who was possibly neglected. You know what I mean? Family, huge family. Mom's about to have another child, so they send her off to this couple, and I guess they have like a farm in the country. And so what you find, or what you notice or recognize, is that she is getting all of the attention that a child like that deserves. From just like small little things, like the male watching her play, or giving her like incentives to do great or good, better, best, as far as like running and beating her own time, to the mom just like making sure that she has all of the necessities that one is supposed to have in the room, like understanding that, okay, I'm gonna do this for you, or that I'm gonna have all of your clothing laid out for you, and are you hungry, do you like this, like those nuanced questions that an only child experiences versus a child who's like number, or the middle child of 3, or you know what I mean. Like, parents who have a lot of children, a lot of mouths to feed, they don't really hone in on the small things and the special parts. So this child gets that when she goes and she's fostered by this older couple in the countryside. Now, here's the thing that I really enjoyed the most about Foster. I don't understand, or I'm left to think. I have a lot of questions about exactly what it was that I was reading. You know what I mean? Like, of course, one, there's a very ambiguous ending, so you're left to think what you're going to think about the little girl and what happened to her, what's going on. There also is phrasing of saying nothing. So I'm thinking Irish, IRA. I'm thinking one of them is definitely in the IRA, so you never know what's going on there. You don't know if she is being... You don't know if there's something nefarious going on between her and the family. Like, you just don't know. But you do feel all of these things. Like Claire, in reading Foster, I understand what everybody loved about Small Things Like These. There's something very intricate about the way that she's writing the story. And she leaves you to experience or figure out these things for yourself. She is expecting her readers to be intelligent enough to pick up what she's dropping. You know what I mean? And I finally felt that here in reading Foster. So yeah, that's that. So those are all the books that I read for the month of November. I had a really, really great... The joy of reading came over me in the month of November. And I can't believe that nonfiction did that for me. So yeah, I challenged myself to really partake in nonfiction November, and it was so rewarding. I think this is my most favorite reading month out of 2025. Most definitely, these books are... A few of these are going to be in my top books of the year. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, as always. And I'll see you guys in my next upload. Deuces.